This tutorial is for 4th grade, Module 1, Lesson 16. In this lesson, we're going to use estimation and tape diagrams to solve word problems. The first problem says, on Monday, a farm sold 196 pounds of potatoes. On Tuesday, they sold 823 pounds. On Wednesday, they sold some more potatoes. In all, they sold 1,409 pounds of potatoes in the 3 days. And we need to estimate how many potatoes they sold on Wednesday. So let's start with rounding our numbers to help with that estimation. I'm going to round the number of potatoes they sold on Monday to the nearest 100. So you can see on the chart that I'm going to round to either 100 or 200. The midpoint between 100 and 200 is 150. They sold 196 pounds, so I'm going to put that on the number line. And since 196 is above the midpoint of 150, it rounds to 200. On Tuesday, they sold 823 pounds. So when I round to the nearest 100, my answer choices will be either 800 or 900. The midpoint is 850. Now let's put 823 on the number line, and you can see that 823 is below the midpoint, so that number rounds down to 800. Now we know that they sold 1,409 potatoes in all. We'll round that number to the nearest 100. My answer choices will be 1,400 or 1,500. The midpoint will be 1,450. And I'll put 1,409 on the number line, which is below the midpoint. Since it's below the midpoint, it will round down to 1,400. Now we'll use these numbers to estimate how many they sold on Wednesday. So let's figure out what they sold on Monday and Tuesday first, and then we'll subtract that from the number that they sold in all. So on Monday they sold 200 pounds, approximately, and on Tuesday they sold approximately 800 pounds. I'll add those together. And we can see that they sold around 1,000 pounds on Monday and Tuesday. We'll subtract that amount from the estimated amount that they sold in all. So they sold around 1,400. We'll subtract the amount that they sold on Monday and Tuesday. And that shows us that on Wednesday, they sold about 400 pounds of potatoes. So we'll put that into the answer statement. Next, we're going to use the tape diagram to figure out exactly how many pounds of potatoes were sold on Wednesday. So let's fill in the information that we know. We know on Monday, they sold 196 pounds. And we know on Tuesday, they sold 823 pounds. We don't know how many they sold exactly on Wednesday, so we'll put a question mark there. We do know that the total number of pounds that they sold was 1,409. Now, to figure out how many they sold on Wednesday, let's add together what was sold on Monday and Tuesday. So we have 196 plus 823. Add that together, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, 1 plus 8 plus 1 is 10. So on Monday and Tuesday, they sold 1,019 pounds. We'll subtract that amount from the total that they sold across the 3 days. So we'll start with the total, which was 1,409. From that, we'll subtract 1,019. 9 minus 9 is 0. In the tens place, I need to subtract 1. I don't have anything in the tens place here, so I'm going to decompose one of my hundreds. which leaves 3 hundreds. I'll decompose that into 10 tens. Now I can subtract 10 minus 1, and I get 9. 3 minus 0 is 3, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So that tells me that on Wednesday, they sold exactly 390 pounds of potatoes. And that answer is pretty close to the 400 pounds of potatoes that we estimated using our vertical number line. So we'll continue to use a combination of estimation and tape diagrams to help solve the word problems.